resource person on this virtual platform. Many special thanks goes to all the respected organizing committee members and big thanks to all the respected participants. So, I am here to introduce today's keynote speaker, Honorable Vishakha Khetrapal ma'am, who is researcher and independent consultant from Indore. Title of speech is Joy of Teaching. Ma'am has completed Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering with gold medal. She has completed Business Summer School from University of Munster Entrepreneurship. She has featured in the opening episode of the Discovery docu-series titled Legends of Ramayana with Amish. She associated as an expert on the show for its segment on Ramnami community of Chhattisgarh. She got research fellowship from Ministry of Culture, Government of India. She conducted experimental trips including village exploration, local food and hands-on workshops for tourists, collaborating with the marginalized marble artisans and the local women. She got Best Student Award for Social Entrepreneurship at TISS Mumbai. She got Asia Pacific Recognition Award at Ford, also got Branch Gold Medal in BE Mechanical Engineering at SGS ITS Indore. So after this introduction, I would like to request today's keynote speaker, Honorable Vishakha ma'am, please start your speech. Thank you. Welcome ma'am.
And SGS ITS.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this glorious introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank the entire organizing committee, which is held by Dr. Bedkar sir, for inviting me for this webinar series. And this is, I think, a great effort on the part of the university to organize such a long-running series with such diverse speakers for tuning in day after day for this webinar series. And in fact, I myself tuned in for some of the talks, and I found them really interesting and such wide varied. So congratulations on that. I'll just quickly open up my slides to see if it's being able to. If you're able to see it, just a second. So is the slide visible, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So thank you for this opportunity, and I'm very happy to be in company of all of you, and I hope you find the next the few minutes that we spend together insightful, and hope you can take some at least one takeaway from this conversation. And I'm teaching for a long time or have been associated with this profession, but I'll try to share what have been my learning in my short stint with teaching, and I hope to hear your views as well. So before we start, I just want to start with a short invocation so that all of us remember all the great teachers who have brought us to where we are today. So I invite you to close your eyes for a moment. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Thank you. And with this, we begin with today's session. And as a reminder of the session, I am wearing this smiley. Because I hope this session should also be, I want this session also to be joyful today. So, which reads, if you're planning for a year, so rise. we're planning for a great nation, and it shapes the nation. And if you see in our country as well, we have traditionally given utmost importance to this relationship between a teacher and a student. If you see our mythology, our history, there always the student duos. Or even if you look at a very recent phenomena, let's talk about our cricketing legend Sachin Tendulkar. He himself puts great credit on the learnings that he got from his coach Ramakant Achrekar. So that defines the importance of a teacher. And teacher is not just someone who instructs us, who just teaches us some problems or some equations, but teacher is someone who students look up to be as their mentor or coach or their friend, if you may call it that. So just to give you a background, because my introduction does not speak about my journey as a teacher, so I thought I'll just share that with you briefly to give you a context. I think my teaching journey began in 1998 when I was also a young kid. But I got this fascination of teaching all the kids in my community. So I will gather all the younger kids, my sister and all her friends, to teach them. And one thing I discovered, that if you make it fun, thank you. So my mother got me few pieces of chalk. My father got me if you've seen, there's a blackboard, like a rolling blackboard. I got that rolling blackboard and I just started teaching those kids, and they started enjoying it. And that was how I continued during my school days. But my formal introduction to teaching began in the year 2015 when I became a teaching fellow with Make a Difference Foundation, which works with underprivileged children throughout the country. And I was associated as their fellow in the city of Gandhinagar. And every weekend we travel. I used to live in Ahmedabad back then. I was working there. So every weekend we used to travel to Gandhinagar, which was like half an hour journey, and then we used to spend the day with them on basic elementary subjects that they were learning in school. And that was a very enlightening experience to teach kids who were not at all interested to read and write, and to help them grow from there was an interesting journey. And then in the year 2018, I became a visiting faculty at Time, which prepares students for management entrance examinations. And since then, I've been working with different organizations to organize educational workshops, preparation of curriculum, so on and so forth. And these are pictures from some of the workshops that were conducted, not just with students, but also with educators, teachers. Because I think sometimes, so there are a lot of events organized. Why do we need teachers, or why be a teacher ourselves? So I think teachers, as I said earlier, that they have the capacity, or they have the magic wand to change the future, to impact the future. I think no other profession impacts as much as a teacher can. And we've always seen that happening. Like whenever the education system of a country is strong, the country progresses really well on all parameters, not just economical, but there are so many other social parameters involved where teachers contribute. And teachers are the mentors that students look up to. However, being a teacher can be challenging at times, and there are various challenges, whether it be balancing diverse learning needs, because we know each child is different. There are different needs that kids in the same classroom may have, because we just are able to group students based on their age so far, but there are so many parameters among which can be different in each student, and that can be a challenge. Then another challenge could be the changing educational trends. The demands of the industry keeps on changing. The environment changes, and as per that, the of frustrated teachers, directionless students, and in the end, the nation suffers because of these issues. So now I've tried to, based on my experience and discussion with many other educators, I've tried to put forth few ideas which I think could bring back that joy in teaching. So I think the first thing is to flip the switch. हम शायद is a mix of Hindi and English fine with everyone?
Yes, madam, yes.
Sure. Thank you.
Preferable.
So, sorry.
Preferable both languages, bilingual.
It's preferable. ठीक है, thank you so much. तो हम कई बार हम सोचते हैं कि हमारा जॉब है, but what if we see it as a privilege? What if we see as a superpower, हमारा superpower to be able to teach, to be able to help the young people to realize their potential? What do we, like Harry Potter, हम सबने शायद Harry Potter movie देखी होगी, तो Harry Potter has a magic wand. So is it like, it is just like a magic wand that we have to be able to change and define the future of the country? So can we see it from this perspective? Is my invitation to all the educators who have joined this session. And so there are couple of ideas that I kind of have tried to bring together. So सबसे पहला was connect to your identity as a teacher. So there was definitely a reason all of us decided to become a teacher. कि हमें टीचर बनना है, ये हमने डिसाइड किया because of कुछ reason. And so I invite all of you to share one thing that brings you greatest joy. What makes you happy about being a teacher? आपको अपने काम के बारे में सबसे अच्छा क्या लगता है? अगर आप chat box में please share करें.
Service to the man is service to God. That's the best thing. If you are serving the people, and if you are reaching to the God, that's my perception. Maybe I may be too much, but I that's my feeling, and I've been enjoying 30 years of teaching as a teacher, really enjoying a lot. We can connect the people, right? You rightly said, right? You can connect the people, you can help the needy people, we can reach the unreached people. That's what the beauty of this teaching, noble profession.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing, sir.
बच्चों को सही मार्गदर्शन करना.
सही मार्ग definitely.
When we see changes in the students' behavior, that's a real joy of teaching, I feel, ma'am.
Definitely. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing. That's true.
One quote make me to enter into teaching field.
Yes, sir.
Don't give fish to hunger man, teach him how to fish.
Wonderful.
That quote make me to enter into teaching field, ma'am.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, sir. That so holds true for the profession.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What I feel, the lot of information is available nowadays because of the various, exposures like Google and Google Scholars, and so many things are there. But I think a teacher's job is to arouse the interest, and that initiative in the all these new citizens who are going to serve this nation.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Any other thoughts? Thank you so much for sharing such great ideas. And that is definitely true that, why do we still need teachers when there's so much online education available, when you, at a click of the button, you can get any information that you want. But I think it's not just knowledge which the teacher is disseminating, but I think the connection that the teacher makes with the student.
Excuse me. It's like a sailing a ship without sailor, having material but no teachers. Like same thing, you are sailing in a sea but having no sailor. You will where you reach, never know.
Correct. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah. So So I think that personalized attention, your coach, your guide.
Hi, Chair.
Good evening. May I come in, please?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Good evening, and my name is Winston S.H. Vanspaul.
Yes,
and I'm a teacher in Krupanidhi Degree College, Bangalore 35, near Karmalada. I would like to say something about teaching, and I hope you will all hear me out for a few minutes. I am a bit of a, what can you say? When I tell you my story, you will think, from where did this man come? I'm a railway man. I've worked for 41 years in the railways. I retired at the age of 2003. And after that, some of my staff were telling me, what am I going to do after the retirement? And some said, why don't you start teaching? And believe me or not, in the year 2004, at the age of 63, I did my MA in English Literature from Ausa University. I did 2 communication courses from Jnana Bharati, Regional Institute of English. And I was sitting pretty, and some of them were ragging me and saying, are you going to frame up these certificates? But I started teaching spoken English in my house, and one fine day I got a call from a college, Darshan College, Kengeri, St. Anthony's institutions, and they called me. They wanted an English teacher. And whether, as I said, my story may appear absurd, but believe it or not, I started teaching. I became a teacher, second innings. And after that, I worked 4 years there. Now I joined Krupanidhi in 2015. A miracle, I should say. They took me on as a teacher. I've been teaching all the subjects, including English literature. And of late, I'm doing just training for all the classes, MCOM, MBA, nursing, physio, as well as my degree classes. And now my age is 79. I'll be 80 next year. I myself wonder, how did all this happen? Well, I suppose God has a plan for all of us. He wanted me to be a teacher in my second innings. And talking about teachers, yes, I enjoy teaching. I enjoy talking to my students. I share a good rapport with them. And I do feel we teachers have a responsibility to inculcate good habits in the students. Not only teaching, but good moral ethics also. So that's my story. Thank you very much for listening to me.
That's great. You are living legend for the youngsters as teacher. So it is what Adam's today's title, Joy of Teaching. Really, you are the inspiring and you are the living example. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing such great examples of teaching. And I think that's what coming back to the point, like connecting to your identity as a teacher and what in first place brought you to teaching. Can be a great reminder. And I think knowing your why, they say that आप क्यों करते हैं, that knowing your why is the only way. It's so important to connect to your why you became a teacher. So I want to share a story here. So I was working with the Difference Foundation, and sometimes it can be it was a challenging ride at times. We would reach at the shelter home, and it was just the beginning of working with these kids there, and they were out of formal education for a long time. So when we would reach at the center, all these kids would find places to hide. One kid would hide inside the bed. One kid would hide inside the almirah, and some kid would throw a blanket on his face and tell that he's sick. And it was very challenging. And at first we felt frustrated because we thought we were doing a service to them, coming all the way from Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar to teach them. And that brought in a lot of frustration. But I think when we see, as I said in the quote earlier, that when we see teaching not as a job that we are doing, but as a privilege that we are getting ourselves to change the destiny of a kid, to change the trajectory of a kid's life, someone who may be begging on the streets, turning him from that ordeal, bringing him a better life, is what inspired us, to stop sulking and then try a new approach. Because sometimes one particular approach might not work with a kid, and you might want to redefine your approach. And we started making our classes more interesting. We started off our classes every time we used to start our class, we saw that these kids were interested in music. So we would always start our class with a small session of music where all the teachers came together with the students, and we had a round of music, and then we started formal teaching in that sense. So what I'm trying to say is we need to connect to our identity as a teacher and see it as a privilege, and then think of ways of working it out. Second thing is connection with students, as many of you pointed out that how connection with students is so important, because human connection is everything, and we saw that during the time of Corona, the COVID-19 crisis, that how important human connection is. So this connection that we build with our students is so important, because we as teachers get the opportunity to experience the lives of so many different people. In our class we have students ranging from so many different ethnic and social backgrounds. सब अलग अलग भाषाओं में बात करते हैं, अलग अलग इंटरेस्ट्स लेकर आते हैं सारे बच्चे, अलग अलग possibilities. There are so many possibilities with each student. So I think that connection is so important, to have that personal connect. कई बार हमें लगता है ये बच्चा misbehave कर रहा है, but there can be a deeper cause why he is doing so. And I think I've put this link. I highly encourage all of you to watch this TED talk by Rita Pearson, who's also an educator herself, and this talk is very interesting. वो बात करती है how important it is to have a personal connect with the students and to encourage them. I think the most important thing is to be their friend and encourage the students. And also how we could do that is probably involving students in our teaching process. कई बार हम वो it is a one-way street, so we keep delivering our lecture and we expect students to just listen and respond. But why don't we make them equal partners? Can we give them some tasks, some responsibilities? Can we also involve them in the teaching process, in defining in defining how the class probably should run? Can we set the goals for the class together? What we would cover in the coming days, how we would cover things like that, involving the students in the classroom. I think that could be a great way. And I think as teachers we get this wonderful opportunity to connect with younger people, younger generations. So I think no other profession gives you that opportunity, because let's say IT people are only interacting with fellow IT guys or girls, people who are working in IT, but we get the opportunity to connect with so many students, so many people from the younger generation, and also learn from them. So I think we as students, teachers learn so much from the students if we are open to learn from them. And I'll definitely share the link of this talk as well, and I highly encourage, because we might not have time for this talk today. In the end, if we have some time, I'll definitely share this talk as well.
मैडम आप जो पॉइंट बता रही थी उसमें एक इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट मैं ऐड करना चाह रहा हूँ. When you say that to connect the students, it gives them sort of moral boosting. Yes, I can have the voice of my voice in the classroom. With that, other students can also becoming they get dare to speak with the teacher, thereby it's two-way communication, and it is a very lively classroom. Instead of one way. That is what I do it in the eventual PG classroom. Why should we think that we are the only grade? They are also having knowledge. Only thing that maybe because India is a more cultured country, the Sanskrit जो हमारी संस्कृति की वजह से वो लोग they don't dare to talk. If you give them opportunity, they will come out. They are more knowledgeable than what we have the knowledge.
Yes, you've seen that in our classrooms as well. Whenever we have involved the students, in fact, in our classroom at Make a Difference, तो ये सारे बच्चे were at different levels. So in fact, we encouraged one kid to teach the another kid, and we noticed that in this process, both the kids became really responsible for the learning. And I think not just in primary, elementary levels, this could be applied in even at university level, where we give responsibility probably to students to help each other. So I think that's important. Again, moving forward, I think now this is one of the most important things. It's about connection with the colleagues. I think teaching sometimes becomes a very lonely journey, and I think all the teachers would agree. Sometimes we feel very lonely, we feel stuck at times. So I think, and sometimes other people from the other professions cannot relate with the challenges. So it's really important that teachers support each other. which teachers, at least in one university, one organization, institution, support each other. And by support, I mean, we could discuss with each other what's happening in our classes, हमारी classes में क्या चल रहा है, क्या अच्छा कर सकते हैं, because every teacher, आज भी जैसे हम we had this dialogue and so many interesting ideas were coming. So can we have more of a dialogue amongst teachers? Can institutes create any platform where all teachers can come together and share with each other? So, for example, in one of the organizations that I was working, at the end of the class, at the end of the teaching session, we would all gather together, all of us teachers. We would gather in a circle and share one learning or one great thing that happened in our class and one challenge that we faced. So all of us took turns to share it. और उसके बाद हम सब डिस्कस करते थे कि एक दूसरे को हेल्प करने का ट्राई करते थे. हाउ कैन यू ओवरकम दैट चैलेंज and what something great, if something great happened in my class, what did I do, I'll share that. So I think that's very important to have these sharing sessions. So I invite all of you teachers, at least those of you who are working in the same institute, after this session, maybe tomorrow if you meet or whatever, whenever you meet, can you share, can you have a sharing circle and share with each other what do you like about that other teacher the most, what do you find inspiring in them, आप उनमें क्या inspiring find करते हैं. If you could do this exercise, you might discover, you might build great friends in your institution. And I think teachers are great people to have conversation with, because teachers are generally so passionate and so fun to be around. So I think why not connect with your colleagues? And
provided there should not be any sort of egoistic. If you kill your ego, then that can one create. Otherwise, everybody thinks himself or herself great. I am a great teacher. ये तो हिंदुस्तान की हमारी क्या बोलते हैं, this is becoming very habitual. That like pulling strategy is very dangerous as far as teachers are concerned. But my observation in the junior colleges, degree colleges, I go as observer for some inspections. Some teacher comes and he complains about other teacher. That is what, because of the sometimes personal vendetta also. So that should avoid teachers.
Yeah, and I think I think that's a personal choice, and I think let's look at the brighter side and see, and it's not impossible. It's possible if all of us decide. Even if one, I think the chain starts with one. So even if one person, if one teacher in the institute decides to bring in that culture, I think everybody can follow suit. And if the institution can encourage events like this, a listening circle, a sharing circle, maybe once a month or whatever frequency can work out, that's a great approach. And then last but not the least, look at the bright side. So I think as we on the same note that we started the session, that probably no other profession other than teaching can offer you so many perks. And by perks, I do not mean money or any other returns, but I think money is also important. I don't deny that, but I think one of the biggest joy is when you see someone learn. जैसे कुछ आप, और ये बहुत ही कई बार लंबा प्रोसेस भी होता है, but when you see the other person has learned or gained something out of your classroom, there's no bigger learning than that. And I think as teachers, we also get the opportunity to be lifelong learners, because I think a great teacher also has to be a great learner, ever ready to learn. So I think this webinar series is a great example of that, and I really congratulate Bedkar sir for pulling this together. That teachers are willing to learn so much from everybody, from so many speakers. So I think that shows the learning spirit which I think teachers always have. And I think teachers, what is exciting about the profession is that every year there are new students. Every year there is something new which is happening, and we get the opportunity to learn so many other skills, like managing so many students. Communication skills get honed as a teacher, improve होती है हमारी communication skill. And I think the complexity of a classroom is amazing. There is so many complex things. So I think there is no boring day in the life of a teacher actually. Every day there is a new challenge, new fire to be put off. So I think that's very exciting if we look at that way. And hai. Every day you are learning. I think all of you will agree. Every day there is something new on the job that we learn as teachers. So that's that. And I think VUCA, this is a term which was coined by the US military industry also, which says that our world, the world that we live in right now, is a VUCA world, VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So everything is changing every day. There are new challenges every day, complexities every day. I think for this VUCA world, I think some of the tools that are really helpful in our classroom, I think first thing is understanding technology. I agree, technology alone cannot run a class, but having great technology helps. Having bringing in some technological tools in our class really helps. For example, Google Meet is allowing us to connect from all over the country. So, and also the world. So teachers, I think, should be very tech friendly. We should be always ready to upskill ourselves. क्योंकि हमारा learning जब हम classrooms में थे तब खत्म नहीं हुआ. We need to keep learning. We need to keep learning and evolving every day. And third thing, which I think is really important, is storytelling. How do we make our class interesting? And I think storytelling is a great tool for making our classroom, making our lectures and sessions interesting. The reason is stories activate both sides of our brain, left brain. So we know there are two sides to the brain, the left brain and the right brain. One is more creative, one is more logic oriented, but storytelling can connect both. So traditionally also you would have seen all our cultures, all our traditions have some stories, and that was how kids were taught earlier, through stories. And when we listen to stories, we retain them better. तो आपने जो बचपन में कहानी सुनी होगी वो आपको आज भी याद होगी, पर हो सकता है आपने कल जो कुछ पढ़ा होगा आप शायद भूल गए होंगे. So storytelling is that important, and all the fields, be it marketing, business, are utilizing this power of stories. So why not we use them in our classrooms? And even for not just for school or elementary level, but at university level, including tools like case studies, which is in a form of story only. We can bring in a lot of case studies to help teach our classrooms and make it more interesting with stories. And if you remember Sudha Murthy, who helms the Infosys Foundation and has written many books, was herself a teacher. She used to share that she was teaching computer science at a university, but at the end of every lecture, the students used to look forward to her stories. So she would share some random stories from her childhood and mythological stories or any other stories, and kids used to look forward to that, and they would pay more attention in her class, computer science class also, because they got a story in the end. So I think I want to end with this, that the love and joy behind your teaching is perhaps the strongest impression you will leave with your students, and there's no bigger satisfaction in the world than seeing your students accomplish great heights. And I remember, I was traveling in train once with my mother, who's a teacher herself, and a grown-up man came to us, and he touched the feet of my mother, and I was shocked, who is this person? And then he told my mother also could not recognize him, and he told that she had taught him 15 years back at school, and she used to correct him whenever he used to go wrong, and he was so thankful to her. He said, I was very angry with you earlier because you used to constantly teach me, but today, believe me, this has changed my future and my destiny. Yeah. And I want to end up with this beautiful picture which was drawn by my student at Make a Difference. So he had, beside these numbers you can see a car, so he had drawn this car for me. And I think this was the last class that I was having with these kids, and he said that once when I would become a big man, I would buy you a car like this and you would be on the driving seat. So, thank you, and this is my email ID, so feel free. I mean, I always enjoy discussions with educators, and if there is any thoughts that you have, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Manda. It's very wonderful. I'm reminded of Shankar Dayal Sharma, the former president of India. His student was Oman's king. So when President Shankar Dayal Sharma visited in Oman, the king has entered into the flight and he brought down the president, and the driver was asked to get down the car, and he himself drove the car to the palace. The reason is that teacher has got that much respect. Then people all around were suddenly, because I was there in Oman for some time, and all this, how it happened, then they said that he was the student of Shankar Dayal Sharma once upon a time in Pune. He stayed in Pune. So I was really impressed. That was the respect teacher gets. We forget, but the student won't forget. That is the beauty of the teaching profession. And one more thing, I'm a university professor here in Hyderabad. I'm so lucky to have, there are 5 teachers who were my students who taught. I taught them in their MBAs. I was guide up there in PhD. Now they are working with me. 2 of them are professors along with me, and 1 is associate professor. So it gives me a lot of thrill, a lot of joy. That's what joy, which you don't find in any other profession. And I'm thankful to you that you have taken a very wonderful topic and touched my heart. Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, sir. Yes, definitely. There's no other bigger joy than seeing your students' progress. I'll just quickly would want to answer. There's a question on the chat box. Can we say that there's a sufficient teacher training facilities for all teachers in India, or what type of new strategies do we need to make or compulsory about training? So as I pointed out in the beginning, I think there are a lot of institutional changes we could probably talk about, but there's a lot which needs to happen, and which is also happening in small pockets. There are maybe various organizations working in different capacities. Like for example, in MP there is an Anandam cell which was formed to encourage not just teachers but other government sector employees to bring in the joy in their work. So I think what we are trying to talk about is, in spite of all the other challenges that come in, which also come as part of other professions, what we could do at institute level or at a personal individual level to bring in that joy. I think that's one step that we could start off with, and definitely institutional changes and other national level policy changes are also needed, which are also happening at different times. Thank you.
Madam, one more thing, let me attribute to you that you have got a very good feature, that is smiling face. The teacher should have learned to smile, because that gives good impression to the student. The student becomes the attitude of ours should not, whatever the background we are coming from, whatever the things back of our mind, but if you giving a smile, suddenly you can really capture whole class attention to yours. That's what I'm finding, that aptitude in you. And I feel that everybody should have that aptitude of learn to smile.
Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Bedkar.
Prakash sir, are you there?
Thank you, ma'am, for your
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring and enlightening lecture, and you have made it very interactive. Then also, if any participant has any doubt or question, his doubt and question is welcome. Please, participants, his or her. The keynote speech was very wonderful and illustrative. It was interactive, and so I feel nobody has any doubt or
May I come in, Prakash sir? May I come in for small?
Yes.
In USA,
Yes,
there are 2 people who are treated as VIPs. One is scientist, other is teacher. That is the beauty. See, teacher in India, why people are resorting to the teacher, because Indian teachers are not being respected a lot as in other, like in France, in Japan. In Japan also, all the privileges which the minister gets, the teacher gets the same thing. And in France, police cannot hurt the teacher for any reason unless until government gives the green signal. That is how the importance of teacher. But unfortunately, in our country, that respect is not being provided or not being given to the teacher. But we should really be optimistic that we will also get some respect. So that's what my submission. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. I think
You are truly right, sir.
yeah, the respect is definitely, I think, it could vary, and it definitely is varying. But I think, that's more at an institutional or structural level. But I'm sure all of us agree that when at the students level, I think we can definitely see immediate effects of how good a teacher is. And we all remember, I think all of us would always remember that one great teacher we had. Even even if that teacher was in primary or way back in kindergarten, we always remember that one great teacher we had, who was very inspiring to us. So I think obviously that's one side of it, but that's also another great reward that we get as teacher. But definitely more respect and is definitely needed for the profession, and which will also inspire many more to join teaching, take teaching as a profession and not just as a second choice. And I've also shared the link to the TED Talk that I was referring to, and I highly encourage you to watch the TED Talk at your own time. And it's really very inspiring how what Rita Pearson talks about. And I think educators, all of us educators, should definitely see this TED Talk. Highly recommend it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Ravi Shankar ji, for your question, I'll ask you to please connect. You can connect with me on my mail ID, and I'll understand. We can definitely take this discussion forward on that. Thank you.
Is there any participant having any question, please? The lecture was so good that there is not any chance for any question and any doubt. The session was very interactive and it was very informative. So thank you, ma'am, and I also thank all the participants for their active participation. And after this keynote speech and question answer session, I would like to invite Chief Organizer and Chairperson of this webinar series, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Ambedkar sir, for his concluding words. Please, sir, welcome.
Thank you, Professor Karad sir, and today's resource person Vishakha Khetrapal madam, all the organizing team committee members of our college, including Vice Principal S.D. Misal sir, Dr. Sanjay Kale sir, IQC coordinator, Anita Dhole madam, Dayanand Patwari sir, Khilare sir, and participants, those who have discussed and daily joining, Dr. Baduddin sir, Wishton sir, Professor K.N. Kadam sir, Jamuntrao Kadam sir, all the participants of today's session and resource persons of this webinar series also. Few of them have left because of sending the link. So all the participants, including Mallikarjun Karajgi sir from other college, Sushila Devi College, Latur. Today Vishakha Khetrapal madam have explained so best way on the topic joy of teaching. She is a teacher and received so many awards as per the her biodata. And yesterday I messaged her as a formality, just you speak like this, include some stories and examples. But I think it was wrong by me, because you already prepared for that, and it was just wrong thing by me. I think as I decide, it's all the teachers are here, and they will get a best message from you. I think I also teacher before 25 years of teaching, and my 25-year batches are still remaining to me, remember to me. Always they are in contact with me, few of them, majority not, but so they discussed today also about our teaching. And when the batch was 92 batch, they daily used to listen stories from me last 10 minutes or 5 minutes. I remember that days. Again, so these are very, and you also said that to have a best teaching we should include stories in our teaching, so that there should be more concentration of teachers and they get more knowledge, and joyful learning atmosphere can be created, and it should be remembered in their mind throughout the life. As Einstein said that what remained in your life after your education, that is the education. So student not get remember about that topic syllabus, but what they learn new thing from a teacher, they will definitely remember throughout the life. You also give an example of your mother who respected a student of her in the train. So all these are the rewards from the society, and for that teacher should be behave like this, I think. Because in old days there was no technology, but teachers are the idol of the students. They used to follow teachers, and also teachers doing so many good things for them, not in the view of the teaching, but they also give their personal guidance also. Up to their life they received the guidance and respect from the society. And today it's not less but something decreasing, but we still keep our respect with the society to give more and more to the students. You give the best message to all the teachers are here, they are also doing good things. That's why they have joined here, because every day why they are joining, they are getting interested to learn something in the new with the resource person every day. So they are all good teachers. If they are having something errors in that, they will minimize it definitely with this teacher. And as you said that you are example of the Sudha Murthy, I am the best fan of her also. Many more books I have read of her, and today also I was reading Sudha Murthy's book, that is Marathi, this translation by Soni Aditya Poth Sudha Murthy, translated by Lina Soni. I always when see the book selling any exhibition, I search Sudha Murthy's new book, and this Marathi translation I specially bought because of to give the those who are younger in my home and in the relatives. So I always remember this Sudha Murthy to all, and every engineering student or any student, any something they have to learn from that. So it was the best reminder by you also to learn teacher, because teacher is always a student throughout the life. I seeing you, you are not having so much age, but you have explained so much detail, and so you have bright future in your career also. We hope you have for the bright future to you, to your job, to your teaching, learning, education system. Thank you, madam, for here joining and accepting our request. As Badmuddin Ahmed said, yes sir, as Badmuddin Ahmed said that you are continuously having smile on your face, so you have maintained in this here also, and this is the best habit when we teach with the students, they also be happy by seeing our all these things. So thank you Badmuddin sir, thank you Wiston sir. He is crossing age of 80, but joining here daily, and from a job of railway he joined as a teacher, and he became a best teacher. So these are the remember things. These are the remember things.
Thank you.
Yes sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes sir.
I'm humbled at your remarks. I'm humbled. I thank God and I thank all of you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, we are ending this.
I would like to thank you to all the participants who, and Winston sir, Badiduddin sir, everyone for, sharing your interesting stories. And I think I'm carrying back these stories. So I think that's what I learned today from this session. I'm carrying back your stories. So I think in some later session, I would also be able to share your stories with other listeners and inspire them. I mean, they might find it inspiring. So thank you to everyone for being so being so engaging and participating in the talk. I think that's what makes it enriching. It shouldn't be a monologue. So I think thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bhedkar sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. And your delivery of the lecture was excellent. I have been attending classes, but the way you delivered, I think today's all the participants has enjoyed a lot, I suppose. Bhedkar sir, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका. Thank you so much, Bhedkar sir.
Thank
Now
you.
on behalf of
When I conclude this
now
webinar
on
series,
behalf of the
sir,
organizing committee
I
of
would.
webinar series, Shri Kumarswami College Ausa, I am here for the vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank today's honorable dignitary and keynote speaker, Vishakha ma'am, who has accepted the invitation of our college and delivered a very nice lecture on the topic.
and as I told that it was very interactive and informative and illustrative. And so on behalf of the organizing committee of webinar series, I sincerely thank you, ma'am. I also thank the chief organizer for his concluding words, for his suggestions, and he takes continuous efforts to run this webinar series. So thank you, sir. And I also thank the participants who actually and punctually participate in the webinar, and they listen very carefully and take active part in the question answer session. And today we are very lucky and fortunate to have an exemplary teacher like Honorable Winston sir, Dr. Badiuddin sir, and Vidyasagar sir, and other active participants. So thank you, participants, because you are the main part behind the success of this webinar series. Thank you. I also thank Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am for giving very good introduction of today's chief guest and keynote speaker. Now I request participants, please fill feedback link. We have your certificate, and at the end, with the permission of chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar series, I announce here that today's webinar is over. Thanks to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you to all. We are completing on perfect time at 8 p.m. Thank you, madam. We will keep this webinar 5 minutes for the fill up the reading feedback, and after that we will end this.